Joining us now to talk about it, Gustavo Perednik, author of the new book that we will see on the screen right here, To Kill Without a Trace, a prequel to 9/11. Gustavo, we thank you for your time today as you join us via telephone here. I just have to ask you, sir, do you believe this was a suicide?
Definitely not. Young man, the height of his career, after 10 years investigating a case, was going to present the fruits of his work, of his devoted work, and suddenly, without any reason, he kills himself. This was an assassination, and it's very easy to come to that conclusion. The first rumor, slanderous rumor that the president spread was that this was a suicide. But since there was no motivation for a suicide, and it was incomprehensible why Nisman would commit suicide after such hard work investigating and exposing what had happened in Argentina, then they fabricated another story, which is, okay, he was not kind of crazy, as we said at the beginning, and therefore committed suicide, but he was a young fellow manipulated by forces of evil, which were namely ex-intelligence agents of Argentina who had been fired by the president 1 year before, and they wanted to take revenge of the president. They killed this prosecutor in order for the president to be involved in this murder. This is also nonsense. What happened is that, although I cannot prove it yet, but what happened is that when Nisman was murdered by those who he was going to expose in the court, he was my very good friend. I never heard any type of inclination on his side on suicidal terms or try of self-destruction, not even depressing, just the opposite. He was an extremely lively, dynamic person, always trying to get fun and always happy to show his daughters and happy to play tennis. He was the opposite of a suicidal type. So therefore, let's stop talking about suicide. Not even the president speaks of suicide anymore.
Gustavo, obviously, you were very passionate about this. You describe the prosecutor, the late prosecutor, as your friend, and you have your suspicions. When we come back, we want to get more in detail as to those suspicions, also the background on the attack. So please stay with us. Gustavo Perednik will return. Francesca Page has a couple of questions. I have some more as we talk about the death of Alberto Nisman in Argentina and its possible implications for the Argentinian government. We hope you'll stay tuned. We continue the conversation next here on America's Forum. We continue our conversation with Gustavo Perednik, the author of the book To Kill Without a Trace, a prequel to 9/11. Gustavo, when you were writing this book, were you afraid of any potential backlash from the Argentinian government?
Not at all. I was writing this book together with Alberto Nisman. This book is a biography of what he did and his work as a prosecutor when he revealed to the whole world the implication of Iran in the terror attack of 1994 in Argentina, which I call in the book the beginning of the Third War. The Third War broke out in Argentina. But now, with hindsight, we can say that the title of the book, To Kill Without a Trace, that was originally applied to the Iranian intentions to kill people in Argentina without leaving any traces of who did it, now can be applied to Alberto Nisman himself, who is the protagonist of the book, but now they killed him without leaving any trace, but probably the same people that perpetrated the terror attack in Buenos Aires in 1994 are the people who killed the man who revealed this terror attack.
Gustavo, the title of your book says this bombing was a prequel to 9/11. Can you explain to us how so?
Because 9/11 was the beginning of an overall war against radical Islam. And this attack was the attack of the Iranian Ayatollahs against the Argentinian government, against the Jewish community. Usually Jews are the first target of these totalitarian attacks, and then they spread onto the whole society. It happened in Argentina as well. The attack was against the Jewish community. As a matter of fact, first was against the Israeli embassy in 1992, then against the Jewish community in 1994, and after 10 years of trying to hide this cover-up of not showing who were the real responsible of the attack, the prosecutor Alberto Nisman revealed to the whole world with proofs that were accepted by Interpol that Iran was behind the attacks. Now, what happened afterwards is that the Argentinian government, a few years afterwards, decided to change their policy and not to pursue justice anymore, but to say we are in a new geopolitical situation in the world, and therefore we have to whitewash Iran because we cannot be enemies with Iran forever.
Which leads to this question, Gustavo.
Yes.
If they are doing that, why? Because they want Iranian oil? Or is there something else behind this this effort to delay bringing some of the indicted individuals to justice?
They did want Iranian oil due to the energetic crisis in Argentina. They did want to keep Iran as a client of Argentinian wheat and grains. They did want to start selling weapons to Iran, but the main thing, I would say, was a new world vision, which was inspired by the president of Venezuela, Chavez, a very good friend of the Argentinian president, Cristina Kirchner. In this new world vision, the geopolitical situation dictated to them. There is no world power fighting with Iran. No one presents Iran as an enemy. There is no leader in the West who would fight against these ayatollahs, and therefore Argentina by itself cannot fight them. We should start whitewashing Iran, and even if for that we have to sell the prosecutor that uncovered the whole terror attack, we will do it, and that's what happened. Nisman was going to present the proofs of this before the Argentinian Congress and was murdered some hours before he did it.
45 seconds remain. In your mind, does the Argentinian president hold any responsibility for the death of Mr. Nisman?
Either she knew and didn't do anything to stop it, or she could have even inspired it. The gangs that operate in Buenos Aires under the name of nationalism, communism, Islamism are inspired by the government. They are protected by the government. And these are the people who hated Nisman, said it very clearly, and they are very violent in their deeds. These could be the candidates who have murdered Alberto Nisman, and it was the consequence of this blind policy of Argentina.
We'll have to leave it there. Gustavo Perednik, author of the book To Kill Without a Trace, a prequel to 9/11. When we come back, Betsy McCoy on the measles.